Hello everyone! Welcome back to another randomly generated item. This time we are going to use tarot and oracle decks in order to decide what I'm going to make. So I've developed quite a hefty little collection of tarot and oracle decks over the years. I now have 48, which is like, what? It's like, how do I even have that many? Which I'm obviously more comfortable with some of them than others, but let's see what the universe has for me today and like what I'm going to be making. Like what card. I think we're going to base it off of a single card. But first I have to choose a deck and then I'll let the deck choose which card from there. So I've got a random number generator right on my phone here. We're going to generate the number. Really? Nah. Okay. So in that last clip, when I did the random number generator, it landed on 48, from 1 to 48, and it's like, really, you just pick the end number, and it's like, is that really random? But yeah, I guess, thinking it over, choosing one of the two end numbers is included in the thing of random, and I really didn't do that number justice, so, this is the deck that, that number is referring to as my, I call the lotería deck. I don't really use these for divination quite so much. My plan for... So this was actually part of like a lotería board that I got in like 9th grade with my Spanish class, I want to say. And then I thought like, oh, let me try to film some of my own like pick-a-pile tarot things. And I never got as far with that as I wanted to. But then I realized that probably wasn't the route I was meant to go down anyway with this. But these are like the different cards that you pull. Like loteria, I think translates literally to lottery, but it acts more like a bingo board. So we're gonna pick one and see which one falls out. It could be a while. It's cardboard, so I'm not gonna like do that, but also I can be a pretty good shuffler. It's starting to get a bit messy. Maybe I should just be a messier shuffler. Also, I realized, like, I'd probably have a good chance of picking something from here. 2 again. Okay. So we have La Luna, which is the moon, y El Árbol, which is a tree. Like, if it was just one, it'd be like, oh, easy. I just make a stuffed animal of this thing. I mean, I could still make a stuffed animal of these things, but I would have to combine them together to be like a moon tree? What would a moon tree look like? I'll get back to you when I figure out what that is. It's taken me a while, but I finally figured out how I'm going to pull off the moon tree. So, last time that I was in the craft store, I saw this kit for a yarn wrap tree. And I realized if I do the kit for the yarn wrap tree and then I crochet a bunch of little moons, I've got a moon tree. And like the kit has like the cheap thread. I think it's the same company that did the unicorn kit that I tried earlier. But that was about a week ago, and that item was on clearance. So there was more than one there, but I don't know if that's still gonna be there. So here's hoping it is. If it's not there, I'm gonna be at a craft store. They should have wire there, and I can just buy wire and embroidery floss, no big deal. Or though, if it's embroidery floss, I could also just check in with mom to see if she actually has some, because she probably does. So I'm thinking about going to the store pretty soon after it opened at 9 o'clock. I just finished a shift at work. I'm in the parking lot at work right now. And it's like 5:20. So I got a little under 4 hours to stay awake, or about 4 hours to stay awake in order to see if I can get it or not. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it goes. Success! I found it. So I stayed awake long enough to come to the Joann's, and they had one left. So I have it. So now, as you can see, this is like nice and colorful, which perfectly, it's kind of like the same color scheme as the lotería cards, actually a little bit more vibrant than the lotería cards. But yeah, it's better when it's not in direct sunlight there. But I think I make this and then just hang like a bunch of like little crocheted moons. I got some thread back at home, and yeah, I'm gonna have a little moon tree. It's gonna be exciting. I finished the yarn tree. Ended up being easier than I was expecting it to be. My only complaint about it was it showed instructions for how to do a hitch knot, but then all the instructions were requesting for a double hitch knot. So it's like, what makes it a double hitch knot? Like, do I do that one part twice? Do I attempt the hitch knot twice? Do I do one of the steps twice? I didn't bother looking it up because I'm lazy. But I have some thread left over from it, and it was a nice little craft. Very colorful. It gives me like the same sort of vibes of the colors chosen as like the lotería deck. So that part's pretty nice. And it's like the box said it was for people age and up. Personally, I wouldn't give this to anyone under the age of 11. I don't think anyone under the age of 11 would have the dexterity for this. But I have my base. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make moons. So I have this really thin white thread. And there was a couple different There's a couple different ways that I could go about this. So the first one was like, oh, I could just knit a crescent moon. But then I thought, there are phases to the moon, right? That would be so much cool if I had phases from the moon hanging from this instead of just a straight up crescent moon. Obviously, there'll still be a crescent moon. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to do the phases, am I going to graph out how to knit or crochet every one of these phases? Or am I going to take the easy way out? And to be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards the easy way out. So, the easy way out is I knit circles. I figure out a pattern for a circle. And then I got some ink over there. And I dye the circles when they're done to be the different phases of the moon. Now, whether I'm just going to do straight up like black and white contrast, or if I'm actually going to make them look more moon-like, I have yet to see. But if I take like the smallest needles I have, or maybe even chopsticks, honestly, and then I knit a circle. I knit like 9 circles because there's the new moon, and then you have full moon, and then the first and third quarter moon, so that's the halfway point, and then there's like the gibbous moon, the like waning moon, like the 2 different gibbous moons, like the waning and the waxing, and then there's like 2 different crescent moon, the waning and the waxing, right? So that's at least like 8 or 9. And then I just dye them in different amounts, and then I can hang them on here. And I mean, I still got some jump rings left over from the Rave Monkey. Or I could see if I have like earring fish hooks, or if Mom has the earring fish hooks, and then use them. And then I can hang them from the tree. And that's how we're going to have a moon tree. But yeah, I actually have to create the pattern for the circles and knit them all up before I can dye them. So that's what I'm going to do next. Alright, so I started making the moons and I wrote down my pattern really quickly. Just cast on 4 and then I increase that many times. I staple that many times. I decrease the same amount of times. And then I bind off and hopefully I get something good. So far I've got this. I mean, I gotta weave in the ends obviously, and hopefully when I like hang them up and like zhuzh them up a little bit, they look a bit nice. But right now they just look sloppy. So I mean, they're about the size I want them to be. I was kind of just playing it by ear here, and I mean, I have to keep in mind they not kind of need to be scaled to this, so I couldn't go with too thick of a yarn, although honestly this may be a little bit too thin. I could have gone slightly thicker. Anyway, I got like several more of them to make. I know I'm not at the halfway point yet, but it's progress. It's progress. Okay, so I've had a breakthrough. So while I was in the process of knitting this and not really liking how it was turning out, I happened to look over by my crochet hooks that I have like over here and realized, wait a moment. There's this crochet technique called the magic ring that specifically makes circles. And it's like the basis for every stuffed animal that you crochet ever, pretty much. Like, it's very rare when you make an amigurumi and they don't tell you to do the magic ring. So I developed a pattern. It's basically 3 rounds. I just like magic ringed 6, and then I increased in every single one the first row, and then it was increase 1 single crochet, that pattern. And I got this, which much better. So much better than this. And I did go a little bit smaller because I found out this was a little bit big for that. So after a little bit of a trial, I was able to get this back. And even though there are holes, it kind of works because there are craters on the moon. And that way I don't have to worry about like drawing on the craters. I can let the texture of the yarn do the craters for me. I went searching for my black ink, but I couldn't find it. But I did find this indigo ink that I had, and I hope it's not completely dried out because it's been nearly a decade since I've used it. But it fits the color vibe a lot better than the black ink would have. Like, I feel like indigo would mesh a lot more with this. So we have made significantly more progress. So I just gotta finish weaving in the ends of these, find some sort of surface that I won't mind if ink dyes permanently, and then or if I can easily wash it off. And then we're gonna figure out a way to like attach the moons to the tree. We're on our way. And here is the moon tree. It is now complete, and I have my different moons on here. So I have them in order. They're removable. But I just took like a jump ring, and that was enough to have it hang there. I got my full moon, I got my new moon, I got my like first and third quarter moons. Got like the 2 gibbous phases and the 2 crescent phases. And this is really adorable. Very quirky. So yeah, this is the moon tree. I don't know what I'm going to do with this now. It totally would make again. It does make me want to experiment more with the inks, particularly with the yarn. Yeah, that is our project here. I think in the future I might want to find a more secure way to secure the thread, but I don't really intend to be doing anything like high intense with this yarn tree, so I don't think it matters at the moment. Anyway, that was today's entertainment. Have a nice day.